So, what really separates a good manager from a truly great leader? It's not about how many problem solving tools they have, not at all. It's about knowing which problem they're actually facing so they can pick the right tool in the first place. Let's dive in.
Okay, picture this. You just took over as manager of a store, and the weekend shift is absolute chaos. We're talking long lines, stressed out employees, and customers who are getting really unhappy. Your boss, they want a full plan on their desk by Monday morning. So, what's your move? Well, most managers would immediately reach for that standard toolkit.
And hey, that toolkit is powerful, for sure. You'd probably start by setting a SMART goal, right? Something like cut customer wait times by 3 minutes. Maybe you'd use the 5 whys to dig into the root cause, kind of like a Tim Hortons manager realizing that a flood of mobile orders is completely jamming up the drive-thru. You'd brainstorm solutions, use a decision matrix to pick the best one, and maybe even plan for contingencies, like how IKEA figures out the best way to handle a massive surge of customers on a rainy day. And let's be super clear here. These tools are fantastic. They are absolutely the bedrock of good, solid management. They help you optimize, they help you streamline, and they make the system you already have run better. They are designed to fix the machine that's already running. But what if fixing the current machine isn't actually the right goal? This is where things get tricky. It's where we run headfirst into a fundamental tension in modern business, something we can call the efficiency paradox. And this paradox forces a crucial choice. Do you invest your energy in making the current operation, say 10% better? It's a low-risk, predictable bet. Or do you take a huge risk on something totally new? An idea that could reinvent the whole business, but, could also just crash and burn spectacularly. How you navigate that decision is what separates a functional manager from a true strategic leader. So, the key to escaping this paradox, the secret, is to correctly identify what kind of challenge you're even up against. Because, and this is important, not all problems are created equal. Management theory actually splits them into two very distinct categories: tame problems and wicked problems. First up, a tame problem. Now, don't let the name fool you. It can be really complicated, but it's ultimately solvable. The goal is clear, the rules are known, and you can gather data to find the best way forward. Think of it like this. How do we reduce our shipping costs by 15%? It's a tough puzzle for sure, but it has an answer. A wicked problem, on the other hand, is a totally different beast. It's messy, it's ambiguous, and a lot of the time, the problem itself is incredibly hard to even define. There is no single right answer. For example, how do we improve our company culture to attract Gen Z talent? Any solution you try is probably going to create new, unforeseen challenges down the line. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This chart just lays it all out. Tame problems are clear, they're data-driven, you're hunting for that one optimal answer. Wicked problems are vague, human-centric, you're just trying to find a better path forward. And the single biggest mistake a leader can make, it's treating a wicked problem as if it were tame. Okay, so if you've got two totally different types of problems, it only makes sense that you need two completely different mindsets to tackle them. First up, for our tame problems, we have the theory of bounded rationality from the brilliant Nobel laureate Herbert Simon. His big idea was that, in the real world, managers aren't perfect supercomputers. They're limited by time, by the information they have, and just by their own brain power. He called them efficient satisficers. And this quote just nails his core idea. Instead of spending forever and a day searching for the single, perfect, optimal solution, managers satisfy. What does that mean? Well, it means they find the first good enough solution that checks the boxes, and then they move on. It's fast, it's rational, and it's a super efficient way to solve those tame problems. But that whole good enough approach, it completely falls apart when you're staring down a wicked problem. You can't find a good enough solution when you don't even agree on what the problem is. For that, we need something called design thinking. Popularized by firms like IDEO, this approach is built for navigating ambiguity. Its hero is the creative empathizer. See, unlike a straight-line, rational process, design thinking is more like a continuous loop. You start with empathy, really, truly understanding people. Then you reframe the problem based on what you learned. You brainstorm wild ideas, build cheap, quick prototypes, and then you test them to get feedback. It's not about finding the one right answer. It's about iterating your way to a better understanding of the problem itself. So, what happens when a company gets this wrong? I mean, what's really at stake here? The consequences aren't just academic, they can be worth billions of dollars. Let's look at two giants in the grocery world who faced this very choice. First, let's look at the Canadian giant, Loblaws. They are absolute world-class masters at solving their tame problem, the incredibly complex logistics of getting food onto their store shelves. But at the same time, they're facing a wicked problem, intense public anger over rising food prices, something people started calling greedflation. And right here is the mismatch. They took their rational, tame problem mindset and applied it to a wicked, deeply human problem. They pushed out data-backed arguments, PR campaigns, loyalty program perks, but these logical solutions completely missed the point. The problem wasn't about data. It was about emotion, trust, and a feeling of fairness. By using the wrong tools, they actually poured gasoline on the fire. Now let's jump over to Tesco in the UK. Their tame problem was fending off discount competitors, and they did it brilliantly with their data-heavy club card loyalty program. But their wicked problem? Trying to expand their success into the completely different culture of the United States. Tesco essentially became a victim of its own success. They were so good at their tame, rational strategy that they just assumed it would work on a wicked problem. They took their proven UK data and all their assumptions and tried to apply them with at first using empathy to understand how American shoppers actually think and behave. They had the perfect answer to a question nobody in America was asking. And the cost of that mismatch? Their fresh and easy stores in the US failed, costing the company a jaw-dropping $1.8 billion. That is the price of using a tame solution on a wicked problem. So, what does this all mean for you? The crucial takeaway, the thing to remember, is that your most important leadership skill isn't actually being a problem solver. It's being a problem diagnostician. It really boils down to three principles. First, always diagnose the problem before you act. Ask yourself, is this tame or is this wicked? Second, match your strategy to the diagnosis. Use your rational, satisficing tools for the tame stuff and your creative, empathizing tools for the wicked stuff. And finally, number 3, beware the competency trap. Just because a hammer worked great for you in the past doesn't mean every new problem is a nail. And as we look to the future, this skill is only going to become more critical. You see, AI is going to become a brilliant co-pilot, fantastic at crunching the numbers for our tame problems. And that leaves us, the humans, with the most important job, to use our empathy to define the right, wicked problems for our AI partners to work on, and then to use our judgment to evaluate their solutions against the things an AI can't measure, like ethics, culture, and trust. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. What's one wicked problem in your work, your school, or just your life that you see everyone trying to fix with a simple, tame solution? Because just identifying that mismatch, well, that's the first step toward making real progress. Thanks for tuning in.